Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jabroni Drive. On this week's episode, Edge's last match, Theory with another title shot, Miz LA Knight, Shinsuke's promo, Gable, Gunther, Trish, Becky, KO injured in a GW at Wembley Stadium. Will this be the best episode in Jabroni Drive's history? I think yes. Timmy, you got anything you got to say to all the Schmidt LaVellites out there?
Like you said, Tom, is this going to be the episode that surpasses every episode? Oh, it's true. It's true. It will be.
As long as we follow the three I's: intensity, integrity, and intelligence, this will be the greatest episode ever. Thank you for joining us on Jabroni Drive. Another episode in what has been quite a run so far. Timmy, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. This past week was quite possibly Edge's last match in the WWE. He was in Toronto in front of his home crowd. What a way to go out. What a match. I love, and WWE does this better than anyone else, these little vignettes, these videos they put out, kind of chronicling his whole career and what he's done, and just the package that they put out with that leading up to the match with Sheamus was incredible. What'd you think of the night? What did you think, if this is Edge's last match? What are your thoughts?
So Edge obviously goes back 25 years. So I watched Edge grow up, when I was a kid. And, some of the best memories for me, as a fan of the WWE, WWF back then was, the first thing that comes to mind is the Brood, where he came in and, he's part of that with Gangrel and Christian. And then when Christian and Edge became such a formidable tag team, they were just insane. And that was probably when the tag team division was at its best with the Hardy Boys, and you had the Dudleys and those guys, and then they introduced the TLC match, which goes down in infamy as one of the best matches you'll ever see. But that image of Edge, I think it was, he speared Jeff Hardy off the ladder as Jeff Hardy's holding on to the belt in midair, was something that those are things that you just don't see anymore. Because that was just a different time, and they took bigger risks. And Edge just had such a great career. I missed a lot of his career as a singles wrestler, when he became like the rated R superstar and all that stuff.
Right.
Obviously there's a big gap there, where he became a world champion and just solidified himself as a Hall of Famer, obviously. So, but most of the stuff that I remember from Edge was from before he became really a main eventer. So, you would have more to say about what Edge did in his career.
No, I think that was great. He obviously he went on to win championships and Money in the Bank contracts and cashing those in, and the rated R superstar was an incredible character for him, and his tag matches back in the day, and like you said, that spear and his head popped up, and you have that dazed look. Like, I'll never forget that moment, and watching it on a VHS, because we had recorded it and rewinding it and watching it again, that's what we did back in the day. And Edge is one of the best wrestlers in WWE's history, and in 25 years, incredible career, to have the neck injury that he had, come back from that. One of the biggest pops in Royal Rumble history was his return back in 2000, before COVID. The shame of that was that he had to then wrestle at WrestleMania in front of no fans against Randy Orton. So when we say that they're saying this is Edge's last match, I can't believe that it's true. I feel like we're going to get that PLE main event match. Which one will it be? I don't know. I could see it main eventing a minor PLE or being one of the top matches or a co-main event at a WrestleMania, and it's got to be a retirement match and have something on the line. I will say this. I thought the match was excellent. Sheamus is one of those wrestlers that it doesn't seem like he ever has a bad match. I like all of Sheamus's matches. He's one of those guys that's in there and lays him out. I would have liked for this match there to have been some sort of a stipulation. I feel like that would have added to it because we knew that Edge was going to win. I mean, this is his last match, possibly. It's in front of his home crowd. You know what I mean? Like, say, hey, Sheamus, we're so glad you agreed to have this match with Edge, and you guys are good friends. But guess what? If you win this match, you get a title shot at Gunther for the Intercontinental title, the championship that you've never won. Just throwing that out there. So you can go out and you can have fun with your buddy Edge, but there's something on the line here. So then, it creates that kind of like, oh man, Sheamus is really trying to win this match and go for it.
Yeah,
And
there's something out
maybe
there.
he would. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I still don't believe it's his final match. So I could,
Right.
I mean, last week we talked about this. You said you mentioned it could be his final match, and I said there's no way. Like he was embroiled in that Judgment Day storyline. He was the head of Judgment Day, and then all of a sudden he's just going to retire. I don't believe this is going to be his latest match. He got on the mic after the episode went off the air, and apparently it said something along those lines where he's not done yet or whatever. He's got to talk to his wife and his kids and stuff like that. Who knows where it goes? But as much as the WWE is good with the vignettes and they're worse with the retirement matches. I mean, it's just so bad, dude. Like, I mean, how many times have we seen Ric Flair retire? And like, I thought that one of the best things that they ever did was like, what a send off. And I don't even know if this was his first retirement match when HBK super kicked him and said he's sorry to him. And like, that was such a poetic ending. You're like, man, that's the way to end it.
Right.
And yeah, you see him all over the place. I get that these guys have to work still, and yeah, they're still trying to make money and stuff like that, but they're just not great at sending people off. Like even the Undertaker, right? Like that was kind of a shit show, right? Like with the Goldberg match and stuff like that. So I don't think Edge is done. I thought the match on SmackDown was a nice send off. If that's the last time he's going to perform in front of his hometown fans. But we'll see what's next or what's last for Edge. But I don't believe that's going to be the last hurrah for him.
Yeah, right. And I would say like one of the wrestlers that kind of, and I know he had the one after, but HVK, when he did his retirement match against The Undertaker WrestleMania 26, he stayed out of it for a long time and came back for that PLE over in Saudi Arabia, but that was years later. So like it kind of like he stuck true to it, basically more than any other professional wrestler seems to. So I kind of the retirement matches, maybe he won't have one because it doesn't seem like they really follow the rules on that. Like, hey, when you retire, this is supposed to be it. You know what I mean? But
I think the Undertaker left his boots in the ring like 4 different times
against Roman. He left his boots in the ring, and the next thing you know, he comes back the next year and he's putting on and the matches themselves aren't that great. And so I don't necessarily think it's because of like, some of them might be. I know Flair had some issues with money and stuff like that, but Taker, I think he was pretty, he was okay, taken care of and whatever. But I feel like it's that high. You know what I mean, Tim?
I
Like
know it's hard. It's certainly hard. Look, I mean,
you're probably always chasing that, right?
I'm not comparing myself to a WWE wrestler or anything like that, but I mean, the last time I played football was my senior year in high school or in college. And like, yeah, you're in a locker room with all these guys all the time. And like, going out in the field, you hear the roar of the crowd, stuff like that. And these guys get that to a whole different level, right? Like they are in front of a crowd. They hear these, 40,000 people at these events, 60, some, in some cases, 80,000, 100,000 people watching them, perform at the highest level. And there is nothing that you can replace that with. There's nothing, there's no drug, there's no video game, there's no like, euphoric experience that's going to replace the thrill that you get from performing in front of a live crowd. So I get the chase and all that stuff in terms of retirement, but sometimes it's just like, hey, all right, enough's enough. All right. You've
Right.
done it a couple times here. Like you smash your prime. We don't need to see a 77-year-old Ric Flair in the ring taking
Right.
bumps.
Yeah. All right. So that was a great match in a nice way and in a decent crowd for them to be going off and Edge and emotional with his family and friends in that front row and everything like that. Another thing that happened on that match is they had one of our favorite guys of late, one of everybody's favorite guys, Mr. LA Knight, came out and it started hot, right? They had the Grayson Waller effect, and you had Ray and Santos Pablo Escobar come out, and they're talking about the title. Then here comes Theory, and he interrupts this and that, and then comes out LA Knight, and he challenges him to a match right there. The match is about to start. The Miz's music hits. He comes out. Now he's ringside. He gets involved in the match, interfering a little bit, and it costs LA Knight the win. Theory picks up the win and is going to be getting another title shot at Payback. I believe it's going to be a Payback. And Tim, first I want to say, what do you think about Theory getting a rematch now for his title, for the title he used to have, United States?
Yeah. Um, we criticized him over the course of the last couple of weeks here with how he's, and well, half of it is on booking too, right? And what they're doing with him in the title. But I mean, he just hasn't delivered, the best results when he's been in the ring or when he's been on camera or when he's been on the mic. And maybe that's because he just hasn't had the greatest booking. I don't know. Maybe he's been disinterested. But yeah, the title reign for Austin Theory was shitty. And to throw him back in there, for a rematch, I guess that's kind of the justification with it, which is fine. Um, but I just, that whole segment was from the start, and Grayson Waller is starting to grow on me a little bit, by the way.
Oh boy.
He's a guy that is really starting to scratch me where I itch a little bit. The Waller effect is still similar to to Miz TV, but I mean, he's got a lot of charisma and he's fresh, he's new. And he has a way of getting under people's skin. It's pretty funny the way he does it.
And it's with a
But
realistic kind of thing, the
the
things he says, right? Like it's almost like reminds me of a KO a bit where he kind of points out the obvious, like you're supposed to, suspend disbelief with professional wrestling. And he kind of says, hey, you came in there and you stole that title from that was supposed to be Escobar's title and this and that. And Ray gets
yeah,
pissed
yeah,
off, like,
yeah.
I didn't steal anything, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well,
He kind
it
of did,
wasn't
yeah.
your match originally, right?
And what's funny is the way that the only issue I have with like the whole segment, it was just predictable for me. It's just too predictable because look, the LA Knight is still on fire. And it's so evident just when he came out at SmackDown, and it was just insane. The rub that he got, that was just nuts. But you could already tell. I even text the HJB. I said, dude, I go, this is what's going to happen. Yeah, the Miz is going to interrupt. Like, he's Theory's going to get the win, and that's going to be it. And that's the way it worked out. And it's just so predictable to see how that's going to go. And it's classic WWE, right? That's
Right.
fine. Like, it's classic wrestling style, right? Like, that's what you can predict some of these times, like how it's going to flow. But the end is really where we don't need to know where it's going to go, right? That's where we need to be like confused on where it actually might go, right? I think that's why we're frustrated with the bloodline story. And I'm not trying to get off topic here, but
No, but I knew that's
we
what I
got you got to
agree.
keep you got to keep the audience guessing. The little things aren't that big of a deal, but like, look, the major things really need to keep us in suspended, just disbelief on what's actually going to happen, right? Um. So anyway, what do we? Did
So
I just went off a
no,
tangent?
dude, I totally yeah. I hear what you're saying. It seemed predictable. Now coming back on Monday, Miz then has a match, and he says he's going to bring out someone to show the likes that an LA Knight has never faced before. A giant of a man, one of the toughest competitors in all of WWE. And he brings out Akira Tozawa, who hasn't won since like 2017 or something like that. I don't even know when the last time he won on TV was. But so, and you might have sent something that said that, but then LA Knight comes out and he's on the
But
and
hold on,
yeah.
no, hold on. Before that, we got to highlight that segment between him and the Miz, where the Miz keeps on getting him to say yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Tozawa kept saying, getting him to say, yeah, that was great, and
Yeah,
he's like, don't
yeah,
quit saying, yeah.
yeah. It was yeah, that was some comedic um
Entertainment,
performances. Yeah, it was
entertaining,
entertainment.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it gets you, and that's what you need. And that's what's going to keep you like when they come out again, you're going to keep tuning in because you're being entertained when they're on the screen. So the match then starts. LA Knight, similar to what the Miz did, kind of a little what goes around comes around, a little payback there, and Tozawa ends up winning the match, and embarrassment to Miz, and LA Knight comes in and gets a blunt force trauma, hits him with it, and gives him the old yeah, and walks out to the crowd cheering.
The one thing that I noticed, I don't know if you noticed during this match, was the commentary, right? So
I did
L-
notice it.
LA Knight gets on the table, right, and he gets on the mic, and he's going back and forth. And in my opinion, I feel the same way. I was talking to the HJB about this. He was saying that Chad Gable, his thank you is getting like played out, right?
Right.
And I can see the same thing with like LA Knight with his yeah, right? Like he says it a ton, right? It's overboard. People love it right now.
Good on
Not
you. He
as
kept saying a lot too. Good on
yeah,
you, but he must have said
good,
that 10 times.
yeah. And that's okay because like they're eating up everything that they're saying. But the one thing I really did notice, right? Like that's kind of getting played, but people are still eating it up. So it's not dead yet, right? Like
Oh, yeah. It's
look,
not.
people are still saying what right now for Stone Cold, and that's been 25 years, right?
Right.
Um, but Michael Cole during that match gave LA Knight a couple of outs to tell his story again about what he's doing here, how hard he's fought to get back to it. And I think they're trying hard to get that story across. And like LA Knight, I think he just missed it because he was so just involved and into the match and into the Miz that like he might have missed his cue there to kind of talk about his story and just talk to the actual audience without being on a mic in front of the entire crowd. Like he could talk to the actual TV audience and say, hey, like this is what I've been through. This is my story. Like, and I'm not saying he's going to get it all out in 2.5 minutes, but he had an opportunity there. Michael Cole gave him that opportunity to like, hey, this is your platform, talk about it, and he just missed it and
Right.
never answered the question, which I was like, damn, dude, like I think they're really trying to push this dude, and he just missed it again, you know?
Yeah. And when dude, I remember that. I'm glad you brought it up. And I remember that moment. I will say at that moment, right then, I believe the Miz and Tozawa kind of were out of the ring and kind of came over, and there was a little bit of action going on right there to where he had to get up, like right after that question was asked, and there was like a little bit of a
Right.
back and forth. So it was like, but he didn't get back to that question. I
Sure.
wish Cole would have said, "Hey, before they came over here, it's been a long time you've been doing this. What's been, you know what I mean? Like it was either
Right.
on LA Knight to bring it back up again or Cole to bring, but like the timing of that was just unfortunate, I think. You know what I mean? I feel like
Right.
he was supposed to tell his story and it just either he botched it and missed or what. But yeah, I remember that moment too. And I was like, oh man, because for LA Knight to really, really take off, he has to have that connection with the audience. He can't just be yeah, and like, this and that. Like people have to, whether he does it through the ring or something like that. Like when The Rock would have his segments with Mankind and is like, he did like, this is your life, with The Rock, it like endeared The Rock to all these people. Like they kind of get behind him being funny, and that now they feel like they're with The Rock. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not
Sure.
like, that's just the first one that popped in my head. But the people have to be with you, and you got to tell your story to not only be entertaining, but to also get that emotion of people wanting to cheer for you even more because, they're for your fight, I guess. All
But I
right.
mean, still though, we still have this Miz LA Knight feud, which obviously is going to culminate at Payback, where they're going to wrestle each other, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll see how it spins off, and maybe Rey Mysterio wins it, and then the LA Knight continues to chase that belt, because I think that's proper for him to be in that U.S. title talk, that conversation. But I just don't know where you go with Austin Theory. So
Yeah. I think, I guess my question is this. If you're going to have LA Knight go after the title, the United States title, who do you want it on? If you had to choose between Escobar, Mysterio, and Theory.
um, I dude, I think that match with Theory it was pretty decent.
Dude, Theory in ring is very good. Like I think he's one of those wrestlers that is so good that it's like kind of almost expected, and you don't realize how good they are because he doesn't really make mistakes,
I just don't I just don't think Santos is a guy, that can carry a match. Like I think both Ray and Theory can carry a match, but if you're going to strap LA Knight, I think you have to have one of those two with the belt, and that's the option that we're going to get, obviously. But I mean, I think they'll both do well with Theory, or with LA Knight, if that's the route they're going to go. They're going to strap LA Knight, like, hey, let's try to get this guy over. We got some pretty good wrestlers in here that can help him through the match if he does need help,
Yeah.
because
But like I'm just saying, the cutting the
he is the
promos, he can't cut a promo like raise a face, you know what I mean? And then it's got like, you got two baby faces. Is he gonna like,
right.
maybe that
That's a good
gives
point.
LA Knight the chance to tell a story.
Yeah, because I don't think Austin Theory is as good on the mic as Miz is.
No. No, I mean Miz is one of the best. Um Here, hold on a second. I'm gonna pause real quick. All right, so yeah, we're interested to see where Miz and LA Knight is gonna go, and then possibly LA Knight going for one of the titles, or the United States title, most likely. So, big match this week on Raw. I mean, this is a main event type of match to me. Every time this guy steps in the ring, it's it's great. His matches are always good. He's got the most 5-star matches in the history of WWE. We're talking about Gunther versus Chad Gable. Timmy, incredible match. I'm loving this story right now. You got a guy that we've been saying for a long time that's needed to be pushed in Chad Gable, and you got Gunther, who's at the top of his game, maybe the best in WWE right now. You could argue that, and I wouldn't stop you. Tim, what'd you think of the match overall? And what do you think of these guys, Gable and Gunther? I know we've talked about them before, but man, another great match.
Well, we see these. So you mentioned 5-star matches with Gunther, and typically, if I remember correctly, I think he has 3 5-star matches. Is that correct?
I don't know I don't know how many it is exactly, but off the
But
top
I
of my
know,
head,
I know, I know. I think, I think all 3 of them were with smaller individuals. Like I think Ciampa was one of them, or it might have been 2 of them, and then Ilya Dragunov was the other. I think there's 3
and
guys. So
Sheamus
I mean,
was one.
Sheamus might, yeah. So but like they're smaller guys. Not saying that like that's one thing or another, but I mean, Gable kind of fits that mold, in the same mold as Ciampa, and the same mold as
Dragunov.
Ilya, whatever his name, Dragunov. But the style of Gable is just he's very. It's hard to compare. I hate doing this because it's easy to and it's lazy, but like the guy is a machine in the ring, and he's cut from the same cloth as Kurt Angle. They're both Olympic wrestlers, and look, and I'll go as far to say that the kid down in NXT, Stevenson, is going to be probably very similar to them too as well. Like Gable is just an absolute beast in the ring, and he's technically sound. He rarely makes any mistakes. Even in his like shitty matches, man, like he's just so just professional in the way he handles himself, and he's calculated. He's a he's a tactician, right? Like the way he does his holds, and his selling, I think can do a little bit. He could probably be a little bit better with, but other than that, I mean, the dude is unbelievable. And what he's done in 2 matches with Gunther, it tells you all that you need. If you're in creative and you see these 2 matches back to back, and you go, holy shit, like we could do anything with this guy, right? Like we could,
Yep.
like he is almost a middleweight, right? Probably even a step below that, right? But he can handle himself with some of the biggest stars in the WWE. He's proven it time and time again. And like his Greco-Roman style wrestling, that is just super impressive to me as a fan, just seeing him be able to execute, and the power that he has is unprecedented for a small guy like that, man. Like it reminds me a little bit of, I don't want to bring him up because of his controversial past, but like very similar to like Chris Benoit.
You're right. It's true.
And how powerful and strong he was, and it it's cool to see him really start to come into his own. In the match, the 5-minute match on the Raw the week before was really cool to see. The crowd was on his side. He's got everyone behind him. And there's a couple commentary things that were said during that match by Wade Barrett, which I thought was pretty evident too, is that like the shoe stuff and thank you stuff, like maybe we start going away from that, because if he's going to be taken serious, maybe we can start getting this guy, into a more serious role, and maybe he'll start being taken more serious, right? Like the joking and the shoe stuff and all that. The Alpha Academy is all great. It's a great gimmick, but I mean, I think he might be above that now.
Yeah. I would almost love for him to be in a promo in the back and them kind of saying like something along the lines, because you know how the Imperium likes to say that people will disrespect wrestling and they're there to, you know, keep the sport of the great sport of wrestling alive and blah 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 and like all this stuff. And for him to say, you know what, I'm done with like, yeah, I've had my fun and I like to have fun with the crowd at it, but I'm as serious as it gets right now. And, you know, just kind of flip that
It's
switch into a serious kind of character, that when he means business right now.
it's just difficult because what they have right now with the Alpha Academy with Otis and Maxine Dupree is really good. It's working. But do you want to keep those guys together and prevent Gable from doing his own thing, or is there a way to keep them all together, keep the kind of hilarity, keep the lightness of what they do, and have Gable pursue a singles career? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's tough, and I don't know how they're going to do that. The match from start to finish, I thought was excellent. We mentioned a lot of the chops and the clotheslines and some of the stuff that they're doing, and I thought, he didn't have to sell it because they were laying it in.
Oh, what
And
the fuck am I talking about? I'm sorry. I completely forgot about the chops and the clotheslines, and I just said that he needs to sell a little bit better. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, what was I watching? Like, I'm an idiot. I completely forgot about that, dude. I was uncomfortable watching those clotheslines. I thought he was seriously hurt. Like, that's how bad those clotheslines and chops were. I'm like, dude, this they got to stop this match. It was like Apollo Creed Drago type shit.
yeah, yeah.
So
Throw in the damn towel.
my apologies for misspeaking. I'm sorry, Tom, for interrupting.
No, yeah, but like, so it was incredible to watch one of those hard hitting matches we know Gable's doing, and then Gable does his feats of strength too. And for the smaller guy, like, quote unquote smaller guy in WWE, he's a smaller guy, and for him to do that stuff, and I think you're right on with a comparison there between, obviously Kurt Angle and then Chris Benoit and stuff like that. So he looks great. I loved the finish of this match because it was different. You can tell these guys and whoever, I'd love to see who produced that match. They sat there and they said, how are we going to do this to where Gunther retains the title, Gable gets a chance to go over and be, get his win to set up for the rematch at, I guess, Payback. And for them to have the outside and the beatings going on, and the chops are coming, and then he goes for the chop near the post and he misses and he hits the post, and then he goes and runs into it, and then Gable suplex, and that suplex over the barrier was awesome too, because there's an element of danger there for sure, because you're going over into like the unknown
Absolutely.
almost. The chairs are
Absolutely.
over there and it's very
Yep.
close. And then it's right as the ref is going 8, 9, and then Gable goes right in, and 10, and he wins it on that. Like, it was so well done, and Gable gets the win, but he doesn't get the title because it's a count out, and the story just builds. And I love this match. I love these two guys going against each other. Gunther, obviously, I think is eventually going to be getting that championship push above an intercontinental title, for the main belts, either the heavyweight championship, or who knows, the undisputed championship. And Gable getting his flowers that night was just awesome. Hot crowd, a main event match that, people like that were there. I mean, what a show they put on. So I'm really excited for these guys going on. Timmy, any final thoughts you got on Gable and Gunther before we move on?
Yeah, two last things. Number one, it's the second time that we've seen the WWE use the count out stuff, right, in a serious fashion, right? We saw it at the Brock Lesnar Cody Rhodes match where they heavily used that, and they did it a couple times with this match, and it's kind of like a callback to old school WWE where they use that a ton, like the count outs, right, to disqualify individuals and wrestlers. And I'm wondering if like that's going to be a new trend now, and we saw in the Becky Lynch match, right? They both got counted out, right? Like we saw
Right.
that. So we're starting to see a little bit more of that come into the fray, like with these matches and these high profile matches. So I'd say keep an eye on that moving forward. And then the other thing is at the end of the match, we saw really what is the first crack in Imperium that we've ever really seen. Yeah, obviously Gunther losing and a few. It's the first time he's lost, in a handful of 2 years or a year or
That's the
whatever it
first
was.
time he's lost in an individual match, a singles match, since the call up to the main roster.
Right. And we've seen Vinci and we've seen Kaiser lose time and time again. And it's Imperium as strong as they were, it just doesn't, like, it's falling a little bit flat for me. Like if these guys are going to be a force to be reckoned with, it's like the same thing with like Judgment Day, right? Like
Right.
we asked, like, hey, like you got two henchmen on your side and none of them fucking win. Like, what the fuck is going on right
Yeah.
now? Like, and we've talked about bringing Dragunov up from NXT and replacing Vinci with him, and I don't know if that'll ever happen, but maybe they just disband altogether. But I just it's not working right now. I thought it was good as a whole for a while, but like it just doesn't seem like it's working now.
Well, Timmy, I think that's a great segue into our next topic, and where we want to talk about the tag team division. And a great way to kind of solidify that faction and these other factions is by giving them some gold. When you put a belt on someone, it gives them that credibility to come out and talk their shit and say, hey, we're the best. We've got the belts. We've done it this way. We're holding, like, no one can say anything because guess what? We're the champs, like we that gives them automatic credit. Now they're going to have to do more as far as selling themselves and this and that. But there's a couple tag teams out there that have started to emerge and become viable candidates to be in a tag team championship match. We haven't had one in quite some time, and I'm curious to see if that's someone that they would put on, because you're gonna have to have a heel go after the tag team titles from these baby faces in KO and Sami Zayn, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of have an idea on where the tag team division is going to go. Um, let me ask you, Tom, what are your thoughts on the reintroduction of the New Day and how they fit right now into the tag team division, and do you feel that they're going to get another run at the titles?
I don't think they're going to get another run at the titles. I feel like they're going to be kind of the bar, like they're the credible tag team that they're going to be used to move the next tag teams up. Like they'll be the stepping stone for the tag team that is going to be going for the gold, if that makes sense to me.
But a few months ago, we got this Xavier Woods push right out of nowhere,
Right. Well, he campaigned for that.
and it disappeared for a little bit. And now he's back with the New Day, right? And they're back. Is there any chance that there's any continuity with that, or do you think that that's going to just fall by the wayside, and they're going to, like you said, like set them just as a barometer, and like because look, we're seeing now the Viking Raiders. It seems like they're the preeminent favorites to be the next tag team champs, as they've issued open challenges, but they've lost to the New Day last week, right? Now they're attacking the New Day. They beat all these other random tag teams, and it just I don't see any it just seems like all over the place, the tag team division, right? Like you got Drew McIntyre, who is now tag
With
teaming with
Riddle.
Matt Riddle. It's
Yeah.
like, what
McRiddle.
is that about, right? And he doesn't. And honestly, McIntyre doesn't even seem like he's that interested in the whole process.
He
It just
deserves
seems like
more.
a mess right now. Yeah, but it seems like a mess right now with the way that they're handling that tag team division. It's just like the Usos are gone, and now it's all falling apart.
Right. Yeah, you've got KO and Sami Zayn with the titles. You've got tag team. Well, I feel like Judgment Day could have a tag team, maybe Finn and this other
But
guy.
hold on, but this is my point though, Tom. Like, tell me what other tag teams are there? Like KO and Sami Zayn aren't even a real tag team. Like
Right.
they aren't the
Street
Rockers,
Profits.
the Street Profits, right? Maybe that's the way to go, right? Like the
Yeah.
Street Profits, you had the
Pretty
Viking
deadly.
Raiders, Pretty Deadly, who haven't been on TV in 2 weeks now, right?
Injuries. Yep.
Um, like
Alpha
where
Academy, even though they have him Gable doing the
the singles
singles
thing,
match right now, but you're not going to have Alpha Academy take it from Sammy and KO because you got two faces there. You need a heel, you need someone that's bad, maybe it's the Street Profits. I don't know. But they're
yeah,
on
it's just like
SmackDown.
that's just my point though. But I mean, they're on SmackDown, but it's still yeah, they're the Universal Tag Team Champions, right? So anyone can vie for them.
Yeah.
I just doesn't. Yeah, the two guys that are holding the titles aren't even tag team. They aren't even a real tag team. They're just buddies,
Right.
right? So I don't know. And what happened to our boys? The uh, were the guys the Jinder Mahal's squad who's supposed to wreck havoc over the WWE. They disappeared.
They'll show up next week or something. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, the tag team division as a whole has been kind of neglected.
Yeah,
It seems like, and it's always just these individuals that they makeshift tag teams with. Like, how many tags like partners has Riddle had? You know what I mean? It's a lot. So I would like them to put a little more emphasis on the tag team. The problem is, and I was listening to a podcast with, I want to say it was Mick Foley's podcast, but they were talking about why they haven't had a main event tag team match for like WrestleMania. Like this past year, the main event, like the final match with the Usos against KO and Sami Zayn, was the first time a tag match has been the main event of a WrestleMania match since WrestleMania 1 with Mr.
wow.
T and Hulk Hogan and Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper, because when you're in the main event, you get main event money. So if you got four wrestlers in that match, you got to pay four people main event money. So they don't like to do that too often. So
Unless Vince gives you the old "You're fired."
But so I don't know how it is now, but it seems like that might have something to do with it. If you got to cut a check to all these guys are being in the main event and being the last match, you get paid more than everyone else. And now you're paying four people instead of two. It adds up. But all right, Gunther Gable, we covered that. The tag division, we covered that. We talked about KO and Sami Zayn briefly there. KO looked to be grabbing his ribs or his shoulder towards the end of that match. He's just coming back from injury. Did he rush it to be back in Quebec City and in front of that hometown crowd? And is he still injured? Is this
Yeah.
is this a show or is he really injured?
Well, I was paying attention to that, Tom, at the end of the show, and Cody went to lift up his arm after they won, and he I don't know if he was doing it on purpose, just to kind of sell it, right? But he was like, no, 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 I can't lift my
Yeah.
arm. And then a minute later, he's high fiving Sammy and stuff like that. So I think it's just a sell job on it. Yeah, as I said, the rib thing is a big deal. It's a nuisance more than a debilitating injury. because it's a nagging injury. It just kind of doesn't go away. But like we saw KO do the tumble, in the corner there at the end of Raw, and then he gave the stunner out. So I think he's fine. But it was certainly an entertaining finale to that match. It made for good television, and I don't think he's injured. I just think it was a sell job. Yeah, at the end.
Yeah. All right. And we need to see some sort of action with these tag titles. Either they need a championship match soon, or they got to
Well,
let the
yeah,
belts go
yeah.
and maybe split up the two, because
Well,
them holding all four it's too
well,
much.
that's the big thing I think for me is you're stalling both of these guys in terms of singles competition because I think I don't know if Sammy's missed his window. KO is always going to have it, but I suggested this a little while ago. I said, like, look, you just got to split these guys up. They're not tag team guys. You have to split these guys up and see what they can do individually. We already know what KO can do individually. We need to see what Sami Zayn has in terms of what his ceiling is, right? Is he a main event guy? Is he a guy that can, I mean, look, he did it, yeah, with Roman, obviously, in that match. And he's delivered some great moments, but he had a lot of help from that bloodline storyline, right? Like there was a lot of momentum with that. And
Right.
now that he's on his own, you don't hear a lot more. You don't like it was Quebec City, which is where he's from. So you heard a lot of singing of his song and all that stuff this time around. But like in the previous roles, you don't really hear a lot of that singing, right?
Right.
So I don't think he's as over as he used to be. And I think it's because he's been tied up with these tag team titles, and KO got hurt, and now he's kind of in the abyss right now, and he's not really he's getting the bone thrown to him every once in a while with the Judgment Day stuff, but I think he really needs to start, an angle on his own, right? On what he needs to do individually.
Right. And, whether that be, eventually losing the tag titles, he kind of they had their time to shine. Best friends, main eventing a WrestleMania after being indie guys for so long. Great story, main eventing in Montreal. The crowd, I mean, these are magical moments, and you always want it to keep rolling, but maybe it's time for them to either drop the belts or something. And then as individuals, they can help make an LA Knight. They can help make these young wrestlers because they have the credibility now to where if you put them in a feud with someone and then they get over, then they can go to the next, But I'd love to see both of these guys going for an Intercontinental Championship for, whatever. All right. So real quick, let's do this right now. Monday Night Raw. Timmy, you're going to be on the clock for this one, okay? You're going to get 30 seconds. I want you to go on. We're each going to get 30 seconds here. You're starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Trish and Becky Lynch. 30 seconds starts now.
No, no, I'm kidding, dude. Like I once again, we are embroiled in just like the worst menage a trois that we've ever gotten, and it's lasted for almost 2.5 months. It's ridiculous, dude. Like, I mean, every week I get the matches coming up. It's like I just let it be. Just let it go to the match. Let it go to. We don't need another microphone check with Becky on Trish and dude, I don't even have enough to say. Really, 30
And
minutes, 30
time.
seconds is terrible. I just
Timmy, I'm going to keep going with you on that one. This whole segment was awful. Becky Lynch, she's never done it for me. Trish Stratus, she was pathetic on the mic here. It's boring stuff. It's just the same old thing. You knew exactly what they're going to say. I'm not interested in the match. I'm not interested in the storyline. It's time to end this. ASAP. They should have ended it last week. This cage match needs to happen, and that's it.
Oh
All
wait.
right.
Oh, we got a no stipulations match with
Oh my God.
what's her
Zoe
fucking name?
Stark next.
Yeah, you know what's the sad thing about it is that Zoe Stark is getting grouped into this shit, and she's like a brand new face. She's a fresh face, and she's getting like the old treatment, the treatment that Becky Lynch and Trish are getting for being stale, which
Yeah.
sucks because
Give her a
she's
shot to do it on her own.
yeah, like let her just like she's embroiled in this like fucking WWE like old school diva fucking bullshit
Yeah.
match.
I wish she would just come out and be like, you know what? This is
Fuck
just so
this.
stupid.
Yes.
Lay them both out and be like, I'm going after a title.
Yeah.
I want
I'm done.
Rhea. I
I'm
want,
done with this shit. Yeah.
whoever. You know what I mean? Like, you guys, this is a joke. So I'm glad we didn't waste too much time on that. I will say this quick note. I am very much looking forward to the Raquel Rodriguez match versus Mami. I think that's going to be a banger. Raquel Rodriguez is really good in the ring, and obviously Mami's as good as it gets. And that match is going to be top-notch women's match. Looking forward to that one. Any comments on that, Timmy, or we agreeing on
No,
that?
no, I totally no, I totally agree. Um, you know what? She stacks up against Mommy. You saw her power in the ring the other night where she did the fallaway slam. She just fucking tossed Mommy, and it was cool to see because not many women can do that in the WWE, and it's good to see somebody match power with power. Kind of showed it she's on a level playing field, and the match should be good. I don't think Mommy's going to drop the title, but um, it'll be a good feud because that can go on for quite some time.
Right. And I think that'll be a great, very entertaining match. I agree with you. Mommy holds on to the title, but maybe this goes into several matches. I think Mommy holds it until Mania. I think she's just so over. That shirt that Mommy Monday Night Mommy is fire. I love that shirt with the black and the purple that the HJB sent over to us this week. And I'm looking forward to that feud. All right. Now, on this week's match, they actually revealed what Shinsuke said to Seth Rollins. It was actually they said what he said. And he said something about a back injury that Seth Rollins said, I know about your back came out. Tim, one. I got two things, and if you could answer both, one, is Seth Rollins' back really injured and has it been injured for some time? And two, what did you think of the Shinsuke Nakamura video promo?
Number two, I'll answer first. The one thing I did think about the Shinsuke Nakamura promo, and again, it has a lot to do with the production of the video. I thought it was first class. It was great. They had the subtitles. When he speaks, in his native language, it comes across a little better and you can understand it. Obviously, that helps. Um, and I felt that he delivered it really well. But like my issue was the content. Like the content just didn't sell me on it. Like I'm wanting this to be like a solid feud and stuff like that. The one thing that I did relate to was, I think Rollins has the tattoo down his back, down his spine of the Chinese writing, right?
Right.
Um, and I don't know if it's Chinese or Japanese or whatever. But he highlighted that and like, he associated that with like it's ironic that he has that on his back, and he has these issues with his back, and it kind of ties into Shinsuke. That was kind of a cool like correlation, but um, I'm just not buying. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying like the feud. I'm not buying. It's not working for me really at all. Um, and I don't know if this is the right dance partner for Seth. I just don't know if their styles work that well together. I mean, in the promo he says they do. He says that they're the same, and and all that. I don't know if it works for me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like lukewarm. I'm kind of lukewarm on it.
Do you think Seth's back is really injured?
No,
Okay. Yeah, I
there's
don't
no
know.
way. I mean, everything that there's no way. I mean, I've had slip discs in my back, um, and I can't move when that happens. If he's wrestling with those, there's no shot. Dude, your back
Oh, back
is your
trouble's the
temple, dude.
worst.
If you're
It is the worst.
yeah, if you have real issues, if real back issues, like you're not going to be wrestling. There's no way that you're going to be putting the amount of, and he does. Seth Rollins does everything. He does not shy away from contact. He does not shy away from high flying maneuvers. He sells out every time he wrestles. There's not a shot that he actually has an issue with his back.
So I would say that Shinsuke, I liked the promo video, and I think, but what I think it showed, what it spotlighted was that you can't have him win the title because you can't have every promo be of like these video promos with the subtitles and stuff like that. He has to come out and speak in front of an audience. And without a translator, you can't just speak Japanese to a all American audience for weeks at a time. You know what I mean? Like it was nice to be able to see what he was actually saying. And maybe I'm ignorant, an ignorant fan because I don't know Japanese, but it's just
No,
you can't
well,
put the
no,
title on him because it holds him back.
and
You got to be able to cut a promo.
it's the same way that they did it, and you should have noticed this too, as I did on Raw during Quebec, and I don't know why I keep on saying Quebec like I'm a Canadian,
I
but
love it.
Quebec. But they started speaking in French, which was
Yeah,
cool, but you could get the gist of what they were actually saying, right? And they didn't speak it the entire time. They just did like quick phrases real quick. They just hit it, quick hitters, boom, in and out in French, done. And then even times they would explain exactly what they're saying right
right.
afterwards. Um, to your point, you're right. It's going to be difficult to put a belt on Shinsuke. Like this isn't Japan. This isn't New Japan Wrestling. Like it's going to be difficult to sell this guy when he has a hard time getting his story across.
Right. And if you can't talk to the audience on a weekly basis, then, what are we doing here? You have to be able to sell it. All right, Timmy, the last thing I want to talk about is not WWE, but AEW. AEW has a big event coming up this weekend. It's over in England at Wembley Stadium, said to have sold more tickets at Wembley than any WWE event ever. Right? They're up there. They're going on reaching the sold ticket mark for WrestleMania 32. They're past the Wembley mark, whatever. My question is this all I have a hard time believing that all these tickets are being sold when they can't even sell out their weekly shows. And we see pictures of the hard camera, and we see they never show the upper levels, they never do this and that. And I just don't see who's the draw that they're going to be selling 90,000 tickets to this match, like to this pay-per-view that everyone's going to be attending.
Well, I think Tom, the big draw is I think Jeff Jarrett is defending the newly gained Texas Chainsaw Massacre belt that he won last week. So I think
That
that's the
must
big,
have sold a ton of tickets.
yeah. Uh, dude, it is strange. And the main event is MJF versus Adam Cole, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And that I'm interested in that match for sure. FTR versus the Young Bucks. Two tag teams that have said that they are the best in the world. Both of them claim to be. Now there was some trouble
I saw that
with the FDR wrestler with Cash Wheeler about a
aggravated
domestic.
assault.
Yeah, I guess there was a
Not domestic. It was
not a domestic aggravated assault.
He flashed his gun while he was in a car to another driver.
Some road rage issue, and but apparently he's still going to be able to wrestle. But CM Punk, I guess he's wrestling. You got
look, the build up to this. Look, we're not idiots. We pay attention to the other promos. We're as much as we love the WWE and everything they're doing there, we'd like to see what other promos are doing. And I mean, we saw Samoa Joe and CM Punk. CM Punk came out of the crowd dressed as like a
blue blazer. I don't know what he was.
Something. He looked like
out of shape, small.
I don't know what he was.
Like who's he beating up? You know what I mean? Ugh.
Yeah, he was in a costume and showed up and then gave the what's CM Punk's finisher?
Go to sleep.
To go to sleep, and he could barely perform the move on him, and it was just a mess.
What a terrible move for him to have. I mean, I'm not saying like the move itself is bad, but unless you're Brock
love
Lesnar,
CM Punk. You love CM Punk.
Him and Becky Lynch are my two favorites. Man, you know what? If you told me Becky Lynch was at this pay-per-view for AEW, of course they would sell 100,000 tickets. Punk and Becky Lynch, how could they not? I feel like it's the owners buying all the tickets. Like, Khan's a billionaire. The guy that his dad's a billionaire that owns it. Is he just buying all these seats and they're going to just try to give them away to get people in there? I can't believe 90,000 people are buying tickets to these things. Like, just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, All In was Cody Rhodes. If anyone doesn't know, All In was the premier event that Cody Rhodes started. Before even AEW was built.
Right. Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. There was.
Yeah. But I feel like it's almost like they're trying to outdo what Cody has accomplished, right? Like it's almost like hey, we got to be bigger, we got to be better, we got to do whatever we can to beat that dude, right? Whether it's in WWE or whatever. And I don't know, it seems like a vendetta almost, but we'll see what the crowd looks like. It's this Saturday, so we'll be able to take a peek and see if those hard cameras have the right views and see if there's actually really 90,000 people in the stands.
I don't believe there will be. I can't see them being able to put that many in the stadium.
Tom, I'll tell you where there's going to be 90,000 people. And that's in Philadelphia at WrestleMania 40, because WrestleMania has sold over 90,000 tickets in the first day of ticket sales on Friday, which is absolutely insane. They've already set all the box office records for any WrestleMania. We are really building up into something in April of 2024.
It's going to be quite the event.
It's going to be quite the event, and we're not going to stop talking about it. And guess who else isn't going to stop talking about it? The WWE.
I love it. Timmy, the fastest selling WrestleMania in the history of WrestleMania, and the fastest growing wrestling podcast in the history of wrestling podcasts. I got to check my numbers on that, but I'm pretty sure we are. So, to all you people out there, to everyone,
twice the numbers.
The Schmidt and Lavellites out there listening, we appreciate you listening. If you haven't yet, please click that subscribe button, that follow button, all the buttons that you can click involving Schmidt and Lavelle. We love you. We appreciate you listening. Next week, we're going to have a lot more to cover. We're going to have the build to Payback. We're going to be talking about the AEW pay-per-view. Will it be a letdown? SmackDown, Monday Night Raw. We'll cover it all on Jabroni Drive. Timmy, anything you want to say to all the Schmidt and Lavellites before we before we sign off here?
You're next.
oh, man. All right. For Timothy Schmidt, my name's Tom Lavelle. Till next time, this is Jabroni Drive. Have a great rest of your week. God bless you. God bless Jabroni Drive. And God bless America. Hasta luego. Hasta mañana. No. Hasta la vista, baby.